welcome to my Art Rebels online dance tutorial for the Tanner Contemporary. My name is Lizzie Prince. I am a dance artist here in Margate. My background is in contemporary dance techniques, but I am fascinated by all movement, specifically what makes a person move. So today I'm going to give you a few ideas and some fun activities to do to create movement in our homes as we are housebound at the moment. There are plenty of ways of us moving still and being creative in our spaces. Tanner Contemporary, I'm very grateful, who have asked me to do this, want me to base the session on We Will Walk, which is their current exhibition. Now, We Will Walk is all about the civil rights movement in the southern states of America. So those are the areas that artists, African-American artists, were creating work. Now, the civil rights movement began in 1954 and was led by African Americans. They were fighting for equal rights. During this time, the African American artists creating work were creating some very fascinating pieces. They were self-taught. They taught themselves how to be creative. They were finding salvaged materials to piece together and assemble and arrange sculptures or hangings or textiles. They found these objects, they experimented. In dance, we find movement, we arrange it together, we assemble our movements. We can connect with this through our movement. Let's get ourselves warmed up first. So if you stand back in your room, wherever you are, with your feet in parallel position, so your feet are going to be 2 fists apart. And we're going to start with rolling our shoulders, doing 1 roll and 2 rolls. Then we're going to put our hands on our shoulders, 1 and 2. Then we're going to reach all the way, 1 and 2. And then we're going to flick our hands around our room. Let's do that to some music. Let's take some deep breaths. Arms down by our sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Flick, flick, shoulders. So 4 flicks, 2 shoulder rolls. 2 hands on shoulders, 2 big extensions, and flick anywhere you like again. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way, and flick, flick, flick. Can we twist to the side? Just wrapping our arms around us. Twisting, 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 wrapping around, up and over again. Twist, 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 twist. Down, pushing up and over and wrapping. Keeping our knees forward, keeping our feet glued to the ground. So feet back into parallel. We're just going to swing our arms up and down, up and down, and down, and down. And melt, melt, melt again and swinging. Whoosh. And melt. To the ground, to a crouch position. We're going to stretch to the side. 1, down and 2, down and 3, down, stretch. Bottoms up in the air, bottoms first. And rolling and rising to go. Swing, 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 swing. And melt to the ground. Stretch 1, in, stretch 2, in, stretch 3, in, stretch 4, in, bottoms up, bottom, bending knees, touching, coming up with our spines, and shaking everything out. Now we're walking, walking, walking. Then we reach up. Then we shoot down. Plank position. Hold it strong. Walking back to our feet. And up. Walking. Can we walk really fast in our space? Can we find a wall to lean on? And balance. Back to parallel position. Roll our shoulders. And melt. Okay, lovely warming up, guys. Now, I think it's time to get your objects. Now, I have my tin of tuna here that I salvaged, found from the recycling bin. It's a recycled piece. Please be careful, ask adults in the house if you're okay, if you're allowed to have these, because they can be quite sharp, so just be really careful with them. I've put it on a wooden spoon. I found it, thought about it, quite like it. So I'm going to read out the items. So go gather them together and arrange them in your movement space behind you, so you've still got area to move freely. Do you have a stool or a chair? Do you think you can find items from your recycling bin, tin cans or breakfast box? You're going to need a piece of material or fabric. Can you find objects that are found in the garden? You're also going to need an object that might make some noise. I mean, this makes noise. Some of your favourite books and a shoe or a hat. Okay, I hope you've assembled your objects together. And now we're going to, as dance artists ourselves, we are going to have a look at dancing with objects, how we can move with an object. And let's grab our object of meaning. So the object that maybe has a story for you. This has a story behind it. For me, it was handmade for us, me and my family, in a very special place. So let's try a dance with our object. So a bit like we did on our chairs, we were using our stomach muscles and poised. With this, I'm actually just going to hug it. Balance your object on your body. How will it make you move? Dropped it. Catch it. Maybe it's about how the object was made. Mine was woven. Can I do some woven movements? Using hand gestures. meaning. We've danced with you, thank you very much. Now let's get a piece of fabric. An old scrap piece of fabric that I found. Let's see how we can dance with our fabric. I'm going to start by exploring falling and how fabric falls. So are you ready with your object, your fabric or your material? Find a position in the room to start your dance. Gently, with a softer quality, softer than the chair, more of a liquid feeling to it. Try wrapping the fabric around you and how it makes you move when you've got it wrapped around you. Is it going to give you superpowers to fly? Okay, you can carry on exploring with fabric whilst I find a different piece of music. See how this changes your fabric dance.
Oh, Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to?
It makes me want to speed up. Let's see if we can go not with the speed. Let's slowly move as the music shows us how fast it can be. Thank you, Nina Simone, you musical genius. Now, let's end our fabric dance. Let's come back down. Take a breath. Think about what we've just done. Moved with a chair, moved with an object of meaning, and moved with our piece of fabric. Think about how different they were, whether there are similarities, whether there's certain movements you keep coming back to. I tend to do that a lot. But whether the quality of the movement was different with each different object. Okay guys, well done. Object dancers, wonderful work. I'm sure you've created some amazing ideas and some really interesting ways of moving with different objects. Music was a huge part of the civil rights movement. Musicians were creating pieces that reflected the thoughts and events that were going on. Martin Luther King said this: "They take the hardest realities of life and put them into music, only to come out with some new hope and a sense of triumph." So music was huge. So we're going to do an improvisation to a piece of Sun Ra, who was a philosopher and musician at the time, creating mind-blowing pieces of music, mainly jazz. He was a jazz man. The jazz musicians improvised that was the way they created their movement, their music. They would layer different sounds, different melodies, and morph it together to create some very abstract but also melodic and rhythmic pieces. Now you're going to improvise. You're going to need to be free. Dance like no one's watching. Give you a tiny little bit of inspiration to start your dance. So you're going to have the sound to inspire your movement, and you're going to have these 3 words. We will walk. And it can be very simple as well, much like your movement. Let's try. Trying out marching. How can we walk? We will walk. We will walk. We will walk. How can we walk differently? Now I'm going to try the rhythm of the music with positions. Maybe it's marching. Now find the rhythm, I'm going to follow it. Still thinking of those 3 words. We will walk. We will walk. Well done. It's not easy to improvise, but it's a skill as a dancer that really helps you, allowing yourself to make mistakes, fall over, not like a movement, but keep going, because you'll eventually get to a place where you love the movement you're doing and you can pick different movements out to create a piece. You've explored movement, you've improvised, you've thought freely. Now we're going to connect those movements together to create a dance. It's your very own unique yard show. And what is a yard show? A yard show is this incredible idea that the African American artists during the civil rights movement came up with. So they would put their found objects and put their sculptures and their textiles and their fabrics and their pieces on their doorsteps, in their yards, out on their front porches to display their work. You guys are going to create a yard show of movement with your yard show of still objects. So I'm going to show you mine. So I have my chair dance starts like this. Then I'm going to draw back, strong, drop, and balance. Now your turn, come up with yours. Now, let's try your basket or your object of meaning. Now I quite liked the way I started with this. I was hugging it and I had my arm up. I'm going to bring my arm up to curve, back to roll. I really liked the idea of weaving. And I go up and down, over and round, weaving and intertwining, twisting, and here. So we have chair. Balance. Then basket. Here. Round, down, over, and, well, that's nicer actually, isn't it? Down, weaving, intertwining, twisting, and here. So those are two arranged together, connected together. We have fabric. I'm going to make this quite gentle and soft. I'm going to start by holding it, dropping, rising, dropping, rolling. Then I'm going to come up to turning, round, and drop. So that's my 3 dance ideas. Now, let's try them with some music. Three dance movements together. Now I need to transition in between. So I'm going to put the music on and I'm going to improvise a transition to go in between one to the other. Let's try that together. So you've got your 3 movements, transition, in between. We did some lovely improvisation to that piece of Sun Ra music. Let's try and improvise ways of getting to our next object, our next movement idea. Let's try it to different track. See if the track helps. Object if you need to. Up, round, and down. How did yours go? I'm going to add some repetition. I'm going to repeat one of those dance ideas. And I'm going to rearrange them. So I might do my basket and then my chair and then my fabric. I'm going to start with basket. Repeating, repetition. Woo! gonna repeat my chair. I'm gonna do my fabric really fast, change the tempo. And I'm gonna end there. Because I could just keep going. You can change the dance so many different ways. You can change the speed of the ideas. You can rearrange it like I did then. There's so many different ways of choreographing. This has been wonderful. Let's just finish with some breathing, hand on our chest. 3 breaths, 2 more. 3 claps, big claps to make our hands sting. 1, 2, 3. 1 hand on the ground to feel the planet and that ground beneath us, and 1 hand to the screen.